get it.
Death to apostates, right? All this is the clearest piece of code. This is like 8 lines of code that every time you run them produce the same
It's the clearest piece of code. It's the fact that it has no repressor bound to it, to borrow a metaphor from DNA. Okay, and so in Deuteronomy, we have repressor bound to bad code, so the code doesn't run. The problem is that all the safeties are off the gun. You've got promoter rather than repressor for some collection of people. For some other collection.
Explain that in a different way.
Sure.
It's too complicated.
It's not that complicated.
It's not that complicated for you, but it's too complicated for me to understand, and therefore for a lot of people watching. So explain it simply.
Okay. We have code in Deuteronomy. A lot of the bad code in Islam comes from Judaism. So Christianity and Islam are two of our most popular offshoots. And bad code has an inheritance property that sometimes it permeates through the system if everybody agrees that the Old Testament is important, right? In Deuteronomy, I believe there's a passage, by the way, what you said before about it being Quranic, I believe you were actually referencing a hadith. I don't know if that's accurate about the So I want to be clear about it. In Deuteronomy, there's a passage that says, for example, if somebody says, let's go worship gods unknown to our fathers, set upon them with a stone. I don't think there's any record of Jews stoning an apostate, a proselytizing apostate. However, how you get that code not to run is that you come up with some justification. For example, too bad about the Second Temple being destroyed. We don't have the Second Temple, then we can't convene the Sanhedrin. If the religious courts aren't enforced, then who decides whether this is just and unjust? So unfortunately, the code can't run. So we have got bad code that doesn't get run because it's blocked from running. And quite honestly, in many places in the world, you've got bad code that is blocked from running. So I don't have a conversation about, you can read it right in the text. It's true, you can read it right in the text, but you have to think about the epigenetics. What is it that determines, does this code run or is this code blocked? So the problem is, you've got a totalizing death cult with all the safeties off the gun for some subset of people. And then we're going to have this conversation about, are we going to be fastidiously accurate, in which case it'll take 17 hours and nobody will want to watch it? Or is somebody going to say, the conservative thing to say, well, there's something's going wrong with Islam. And then you've got all the collateral damage of reasonable, normal people who are, vice president for inventory at some company who happens to go to the mosque. And he's thinking, like, what does this have to do with me? And then you've got the weird issues about the sympathies, where you've got sympathies for completely insane positions from completely moderate people, including now, generically college students. College students are up for people firing automatic weapons into porta potties, having no idea who's inside. Is a mother, nursing a child inside the porta potty? Who cares? And to say, I stand with Palestine, and show a hang glider for Black Lives Matter. Think about all the Black Lives Matter signs. Throughout the entire George Floyd thing, I was saying, don't support Black Lives Matter. Now, Black Lives Matter was a piece of genius called declarative marketing. I don't know if you've ever heard it. So we had products in the 70s called Gee, your hair smells terrific. Or I can't believe it's not butter was the name of the product. So the name of the product is called Black Lives Matter. How can you disagree with that? And so Save the Adorable Puppy Dogs is what I would call a terrorist organization if I had to. Because how can you disagree with Save the Adorable Puppy Dogs? We're deranged by language. We're not watching things in mainstream context that would make us sick to our stomachs. And we're becoming infused with a radical ideology through the Democratic Party that is as if it was liberalism adjacent. Like, you've got radical left-wing death cults that want revolution for the oppressed, to have a seat at the Democratic table at the same time that somebody like Sam or myself, traditionally a Democrat, is completely unwelcome. And my claim is that you're seeing an echo of this madness of jihadism inside mainstream American campuses.